babe.
All right, folks. It's a serious story here. It says, why are so many black children being shot dead in one U.S. city? Xavier Uzinga, 7 years old, was killed outside his home as one of 13 children fatally shot in St. Louis, Missouri in the last 6 months. His story is grimly familiar. Growing up between abandoned buildings and empty lots, Xavier Uzinga brought love and affection wherever he could. Those who knew him say he gave off a joy like it was a superpower, enveloping everyone he knew in the glow. Last month, a day before starting second grade, the 7-year-old was shot dead in crossfire outside his home. His story is grimly familiar in St. Louis, Missouri, a city of more than 300,000 people. It sits on the west bank of the Mississippi River, where black children have been fatally shot. 13 black children have been fatally shot since April. Had those 13 children died in one hail of bullets, that tally would rank in the nation's 20 deadliest mass shootings. If they had been white, it is likely they would have had more media attention. Instead, these children died in the dilapidated parts of town most people are told to avoid, sometimes alone, sometimes as families stood helplessly by. In these corners of the city, parents tell their children the loud banging outside is fireworks, but because it is really gunfire, they don't let them outside to see. Xavier was in his backyard. He was heading back from a neighbor's house with two of his older sisters, Trinity 10 and Angel 12, when gunshots rang out. The girls ran into the home when they realized Xavier wasn't with them and turned back and found his body under a bush. They told their grandmother he took a deep breath and was gone. Michael Johnson, a pastor who helped support the family, was close to Xavier and was with his mother to help identify the body. Johnson said Xavier was a sponge for love. He needed it. He absorbed it. He would never walk into a room without coming to you to give you a hug, whether you saw him an hour earlier or you saw him 2 weeks ago, said Johnson. He always came, looked at you, and smiled and wanted a hug. Xavier's mother, Dawn Uzinga, told a guardian that Xavier lit up every room he walked into and was popular with many people in their neighborhood. For 7 years old, I don't know, he was just so innocent. He was sweet. Everybody just took to him. More access to guns than wallets in their back pockets. For at least 4 years of Xavier's short life, St. Louis has been the murder capital of the United States. It has had the highest gun homicide rate per capita of any big city since 2014. The violence disproportionately affects the city's poor black neighborhoods, and this year children as young as 2 have become a symbol of how entrenched the city is in violence. St. Louis County, the suburbs which border the city, have also seen a high child murder rate with 7 children shot dead. St. Louis Mayor Lyda Cruzens has offered a $25,000 for information on 4 of the dead children cases, a grand total of $100,000. The city is also planning to spend $500,000 on the lauded crime reduction program, cure violence, and another $1.5 million on violence prevention efforts. The city also has programs to provide food, recreation, and jobs to low-income people, as well as large-scale efforts to demolish derelict homes. This year, St. Louis plans to tear down 700 homes and has a program that has allowed people to purchase homes for $1. It's a multi-pronged effort, but we all know this violence is a function of generational poverty and a lack of opportunities. So at this, and it's something that St. Louis is not immune to, just like other cities, said the mayor. So all this poverty is what's going on over there. You got a lot of poverty, and and for the longest I've been trying to tell people that every time you see something on the news, they're talking about Chicago, but Chicago's not the number one violent city in the country. But since the DC dunce put Chicago on blast after they ran his punk ass out of town, during one of his rallies. He put Chicago in the limelight, and as we can see, since 2014, St. Louis is number one, and I believe Baltimore is number two. Chicago ranks like 9 or 10 most dangerous cities in the country, and I believe New Orleans is might be 3. So here's a feel-good story of the day by my account. Stacey Dash is too poor to afford an attorney. Stacey Dash appears to be floundering professionally, financially, and personally. At least that's what the clueless actress conveyed to the judge and the police the past 2 days. Dash, 52 years old, told the judge that she is indigent and cannot afford a private attorney to defend her in the misdemeanor domestic battery case. Dash was arrested on Monday, September 29th, which was yesterday, after the star of Mo Money, Single Ladies, pushed, slapped, and scratched her husband, Jeffrey Marty, inside the apartment in Land O'Lakes, Pasco County, Florida, about 25 miles north of Tampa, Florida. As Dash was perp walked out of her car, she told the officer that she was an actress and starred in Clueless, but was taking a break after she did politics for a while, according to the body cam of the police officer. Dash was asked to be represented by a public defender, NBC News stated, but the judge will require her to produce financial records to confirm that she cannot afford to retain legal counsel. Dash, the cousin of former Jay-Z partner Damon Dash at Rockefeller Records, also told officers that she was actually fending off her husband, who was attacking her and choking her. Furthermore, Dash told police that her husband got his children to lie for him and said she assaulted him. Stay tuned for further details that are sure to come about in this case. Stacey Dash getting a taste of her own medicine, as bad as she's been talking about black people are worthless and this and that, talking bad about President Obama. Look at you now. Look at you now. Look at you. Look at you.
Time for the news, baby.
Brooklyn Dodgers, LA Dodgers,
Time for the news,
Jackie
baby.
Robinson. Go
Time
Dodgers.
for the news, baby. Time for the news, baby.
Peace.